It was a Thursday night. It was a normal night, as any night would be. And the kids were in bed. Tom and I were sitting on the sofa, and we heard crying upstairs. And it was Ollie. He was 7.5 months at the time. Really unusual for him to cry. I do remember being struck by Ollie's colour. The colour of his skin was pale, quite white. In fact, almost yellow, actually, almost like he was a bit jaundiced. And he was so quiet. But Ollie is that sort of baby. I had seen literature about what a raised fontanelle might mean, and I was putting 2 and 2 together and desperately hoping I was wrong.
In our situation, it wasn't a virus, it wasn't a cold. You know, it's pneumococcal meningitis.
We got to A&E, so there he was, this tiny little baby on this adult-sized trolley, and suddenly 10 people around him, I couldn't see him anymore. We were told that they were going to contact doctors at another hospital. It was likely that Ollie would need to go to a paediatric intensive care unit. I remember asking the question to the doctor, should we take Ollie's car seat with us in the ambulance? And she looked at me and she said, he's a very sick little boy. And that kind of told me everything I needed to know.
It happened ever so quickly from him being slightly sleepy to meningitis taking hold of him. It took me a while to process it. And then, you know, thoughts went through my head of, I didn't think it manifested itself as it did with Ollie.
As we drove to the hospital, I started in my head to write what I would say at his funeral.
Next thing we know, he's effectively been put in an induced coma.
And then they said, you know, in effect, say goodbye to him, because he would be unconscious after that point. And I stroked his head and I put my head next to his and I just whispered to him, "Mummy loves you." And he opened his eyes and he looked right at me, and he knew I was there. And then he closed them again, and that was the last time I ever saw him with his eyes open.
I was always quite positive that I thought he would make it through. He'd been a very fit child up to then.
We were told the consultant would be coming in from home, and he did, and he appeared kind of half an hour later. By this time it was getting close to midnight. I remember watching him walk over, and he pulled up a chair and he sat next to us, and he used really plain English, but he told us that Ollie was not there. Ollie was brain dead.
18 hours later or something, he's gone.
People don't lose their 7-month-old children. It's not right. It wasn't fair, we didn't understand it, and what were we going to do, and our whole lives had just changed, and fundamentally, how were we going to tell the twins? How were we going to tell our 4-year-old twins? And the words in my head that I wrote at the time were the words that I said at his funeral. The dress that I was going to wear for his christening, and actually I ended up wearing it to his funeral instead. How do you recover as a family? You don't. You learn to live with it. There's nothing else you can do.
It's for days like this. It's the twins' birthday, and you always think, oh, he'd be 9, and where would he be in the pecking order, and you know what fun they'd be having, and you know we've got a great family, and Ollie's part of that, and we always will be.